Well, I just watched the ending of Act 2 and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I can't handle this. You can't handle this. I'm in a glass case of emotion. Yep, a lot is going on from Victor's cryptic lines, Jace's hallucinations, like, who is this guy? And we can't forget Isa's sacrifice. There's a lot to get to in this video, so make sure you play support this round by clicking like and subscribe. The end of Act 2 begins with this mechanical cog. And you're probably asking yourself, think story. What does this have to do with anything? This cog was taken from the well after Jinx accidentally broke it. You'll notice it has two distinct sides, one clean and one covered in this colorful, oily substance, which was introduced in Act 1. We first saw it on the leaves from the tree in the hidden sanctuary. And Jay says that the patterns of this substance are the same on the plants he and Victor used when they experimented with the hex core. It matches the corruption we saw on the plants. We tested with the hex core, so on one side we have corruption and the other we don't. This matches Victor's speech where he talks about opposing emotions of humanity, like hate and compassion, being two sides of the same coin. The cog here is that coin. This metaphor of one thing being able to do two different things is echoed in Victor's final line, that which inspires us to our greatest good is also the cause of our greatest evil. And I think what he's referring to here is love can cause us to do both, amazing or terrible things. Just look at the evil Singed has done in the name of love to save his daughter. Why does anyone commit act others deem unspeakable for love? It's confirmed in Act 2 that Singed is indeed Dr. Corin Revick, the clockwork toy shop owner who augmented his daughter's body in order to keep her alive after a terrible case of lung blight. This daughter, of course, is the League of Legends character Orianna. We know that Victor ends up dying to Jace, but the question for you is, does Victor know this is going to happen? Victor's been given incredible powers that make him almost godlike. He can take over other people's bodies, go into people's minds, and heal the diseased. He can also see into the past, like what he does with Singed. Who is to say he can't see into the future? When Jinx's Six and War Workor first arrive at the Sanctuary's assistant says he was expecting them. It's Victor's death that leads to Warwick making this transformation into Firefang Warwick. And our epic Act 2 finale, if Victor hadn't have died, these events likely wouldn't have happened. So you have to ask yourself, is this all part of a larger plan that Victor foresaw? And if you believe Victor is kind of like this Christ-like figure, who's to say he won't be resurrected too? Just like Christ, Victor was betrayed by his best friend Jesus, also knew that he was going to die. So it raises a lot of questions. Victor also hints that things happen in a predetermined way when he asks Singed if he believes in faith, questioning whether we're guided by an invisible hand. In Act 1, we actually see a cloaked figure holding something in his or her hand. But let's talk a little bit about Jace. In Act 2, he returns from the Hex Gate markedly changed. He looks raging and has this blue rune embedded in his wrist, with corruption emanating from it. We've actually seen this rune before in Jace's flashback in Season 1, the mysterious, predetermined way when he asks Singed if he believes in faith, questioning whether we're guided by an invisible hand. In Act 1, we actually see a cloaked figure holding something in his or her hand. But let's talk a little bit about Jace in Act 2. He returns from the Hex Gate, markedly changed. He looks raging and has this blue rune embedded in his wrist with corruption emanating from it. We've actually seen this rune before, in Jace's flashback. In Season 1, the mysterious hooded figure gives it to him after saving him and his mother's life. This is what sparked Jace to lead a life of science investigating these runes. So is this hooded figure somehow Victor to understand what is corrupting Jace? We have to think about where he went. I believe the corrupted Hex Gate took him to a different realm of which League of Legends has several. The most likely is the Void. It's a different dimension that exists outside of Runeterra and is filled with chaotic destructive energy and beings which exist only to consume and corrupt. Something has obviously taken control of him. Victor even says that the man before him isn't Jace. We also get this cryptic image while he's being corrupted, which only lasts for a frame or two. Could this be the person who is controlling him? Or is it just part of his hallucination? I think the biggest twist would be if Victor was the one orchestrating all this, that Victor had to get Jace to kill him for some bigger purpose. Yet to be revealed. We also don't know what happened to Echo or Heimerdinger. Did they go to the same place as Jace or perhaps different realms? Entirely Act 2 also sees arch-enemies Jinx and Vi teaming up after Jinx learns their father, Vander, has turned into the Beast Warwick. Jinx knows that some part of his humanity is still buried within, so they take him to Victor in the hopes his healing powers could save him. Vander's seemingly dead body found its way into the hands of Singh to perform devious experiments in the efforts to find a cure for death in Episode 2:05. He says, Warwick might be able to cure his daughter. I believe the beast may hold the final key. If Warwick somehow becomes this cure for death, it's possible his blood could bring back Victor and Issa. However, wants Warrior for an entirely different purpose. She sees the beast as a weapon to be unleashed upon her enemies, and thus she makes a deal with Singed. Your weapons will be mine. In return, I will supply all your needs. This leads us to the Act 2 finale, Caitlyn, having been trained by Ambessa and propped up as the commander in charge of dealing with the Zeit Rebellion, has turned on her. General Warwick has turned into its Firefang form. And I'm curious if this has anything to do with the death of Victor and his healing properties. When Victor dies, we'll see everyone he has healed break down almost as if they were robots, shutting off. It looks as though their arcane magic, which was used to heal them, leaves their body. If any healing was done to Warwick, would it leave him too, resulting in this creature we see before us? But what everyone is going to be talking about is Issa's sacrifice. At the very end, she takes Jinx's zap gun, seemingly killing Warwick and generating a large explosion from a story perspective. This makes a lot of sense. Over the past few episodes, Jinx has made an incredible bond with this girl, and having her and Vander die as a result of Issa's attack will be the motivation she needs to rise up against Piltover. If you'll recall, Jinx has kind of been this unwilling leader figure for the Resistance, stating that she has no desire to unite the fractured gangs of Zone to take on Piltover. You're a symbol, huh? You want a music symbol. But with this new development, I think Act 3 will focus on an uprising with Jinx at the helm. Issa's sacrifice also makes sense. Thematically, it's a decision done out of love. We've already seen how characters like Singed and Victor say love can be a driving force for good and evil. Issa may be sacrificing herself, but it's a decision based on love. Issa is saving her friends and preventing Warwick from becoming a weapon for Ambessa. It's also interesting that in this very episode, Ambessa talks about a fourth principle of Noxus, and this principle is sacrifice, the temper born of suffering. Speaking of which, if you've seen my Act 1 video, you'll know Ambessa is targeted by a group known as the Black Rose Cabal. This group is led by the Noxian aristocracy, and Ambessa, being from Noxus, has really pissed them off. The exact reasons why are a bit shady, and this seems to be one of the big mysteries going forward. We can assume that it is the Black Rose Cabal that imprisoned Essa's daughter Mel at the end of Act 1. It's the same crimson colors and black rose. Her assistant is picked up by Act 2, introduces us to these chains, which are an ability the character LeBlanc has in the game, who is coincidentally also a member of the Black Rose. Even the top of her cell is shaped like that of a rose. In the credits, the voice is seen as illusionary sorceress, and LeBlanc is known for illusion magic. Plus, she's voiced by Minnie Driver. You don't just have a big celebrity voice, a throw-off character. It's also possible Vladimir might come into to play all these crimson colors, and blood imagery are indicative of him. And he also happens to be one of the founding members of this cabal. He can control the minds and bodies of others, which he might be doing to Mel here in her cell. Mel is shocked to find her dead brother, Kino. This turns out to be an apparition, and when Mel is confronted by two voices, one male and one female, they say they had such high hopes for Kino, being the child they are looking for. At first, it seemed plausible that he could have been the child. This hints that they may have been his killer. And these two are indeed Vladimir and LeBlanc. In the previous scene, Kino talked about a secret affair Ambessa had of many years ago, and the child born of this affair inherited something their captors want. Perhaps Mel has a sister. And what does the female voice say after chaining Mel up? But then, your mother led us to you, sister. Or could Mel have been this child, and could the thing the Black Rose is looking for be her enchanted Solari armor? It's been hinted that Mel is part Solari. Just take a look at her outfit in Season 1, which is eerily reminiscent of the item Iron Locket of the Solari. We see this armor glow gold right before Jinx's missile attack, which leaves her and Jace pretty much unscathed. This glowing magic seems to free M from her confines in 205. But this is the last we see of her character in Act 2. It should also be noted that Kino refers to this cell as a, quote, special chamber to seal off false prophets. So, I'm wondering if Mel is some sort of prophet. If she is of EX importance, it may explain why Ambessa sent her away to Piltover, not because she thought her daughter was weak, but because she would be safer there. So we have a lot going on as we head into the final act. A murderous Jace, Heimer, and Echo nowhere to be found. Mel's whereabouts and the aftermath of Warwick's death, which will no doubt have tremendous consequences for all our characters. But I want to hear what you think will happen next. Leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and for more.